Did you know that there are significant personality differences between male and female dogs? From how they bond, to how they deal with separation anxiety, to even how they problem solve, there are a lot of differences between our girls and our boys. So in this video, we're going to be looking at the battle of the sexes and exploring 7 key differences between male and female dogs. Number 1. Bonding style. When it comes to bonding, have you noticed how your dog interacts with different family members or even strangers? If your male dog seems to treat everyone equally, getting excited about meeting new people, and occasionally leaving you feeling overlooked, don't be surprised. That's just part of his nature. Male dogs tend to be more socially open, spreading their affection around without necessarily picking a favorite person. Sometimes, you might even catch them getting more enthusiastic about greeting strangers or new family members than their usual crew. On the other hand, female dogs are often more selective. If your female dog seems to have a special connection with you or another family member, that's because females tend to form stronger, more exclusive bonds. They're usually more cautious around new people, preferring the company of their chosen human rather than immediately warming up to strangers. Number 2. Separation anxiety. Although they might not bond with a specific human as strongly as their sisters do, that doesn't mean that male dogs don't love themselves some human company. In fact, their more sociable personalities mean that they're often more likely to struggle with separation anxiety when left alone in the home. The dog parents of male dogs may be more likely to find themselves getting complaints from the neighbors about their dog howling or barking for them while they're away, or coming home to find that their belongings have been torn or chewed on out of protest. By comparison, despite the stereotypes about female dogs being clingy or more sensitive, if you have a female dog, you may find that your girl copes much more easily with you being out for a few hours. She'll welcome you back, of course, and be glad to see you again. But while you're away, she won't waste her time shredding your stuff or calling for you. She's got better stuff to do. Mainly napping and chasing her tail. Number 3. Social skills. Unneutered male dogs are often quite antisocial. Their instincts tell them 2 things. Firstly, find a female dog to mate with. Secondly, prevent any other male dogs from getting near the female dogs they want to mate with. As a result, they tend to be very aggressive when confronted with other intact males, seeing them as threats to their territory. Once neutered, however, male dogs can often be more social than their female friends, spayed or intact. They're frequently more playful and less choosy about who they play with. Take your boy to the dog park, and you might find that he ends up very much the belle of the ball. By comparison, female dogs are often more reserved and less willing to get involved in rough and tumble play with other dogs. Possibly one reason for this is that female dogs tend to mature earlier than male dogs. They grow up faster and so lose their interest in play earlier, whilst males, even when they're physically adults, are often still puppies at heart. Number 4. Trainability. The fact that female dogs mature earlier than males does have one major benefit. They're much easier to train. The younger you start training a dog, the better, but male dogs are often very easily distracted, especially before they get neutered. You might be trying to get him to sit on command, but unfortunately every time you think he's just about to get it, he catches a whiff of an interesting scent on the wind, or spots a sneaky-looking squirrel across the yard, practically begging to be chased. And suddenly, it's all gone out of his head, and he's away. And it's worse once they start getting into adolescence. Unlike female dogs, who are only worried about procreation when they're in heat, unneutered adult male dogs have sex on the brain pretty much 24/7. As a result, once they've been neutered and you've gotten rid of that particular distraction, you'll often find that they're much easier to train. By comparison, female dogs are much more attentive and willing to respond to commands from a much earlier age. Even if they're unspayed, while they might be a bit distracted during heat, most of the time they'll still be able to focus on you and what you're trying to teach them. Number 5. Rebelliousness. Just like humans, dogs experience a lot of extreme hormonal changes during adolescence, which for them usually happens somewhere between ages 1.5 and 2. For male dogs, this means a rush of testosterone that makes them significantly more territorial and aggressive. This doesn't necessarily translate to aggression towards humans. Your dog is unlikely to view you as an interloper in his territory, but that doesn't mean you get off easy. When out and about, especially, your boy is going to be plagued by the smells of female dogs in heat who he'll want to find and mate with, and male dogs who he'll want to get into territorial fights with. Not to mention all the things he'll want to pee on so that he can mark his territory. This can translate to quite a lot of pulling at the leash and refusing to follow the normal walking route. Consistent training and clear boundaries can help your dog become more cooperative, but especially during their doggy teen years, male dogs might need a bit more patience. Number 6. Pack instincts. Inside every dog is a wolf. Your fluffy poodle or feisty chihuahua might seem about as far removed from a wolf as you are from a chimpanzee, but they're actually a lot more similar than you might think. Domestic dogs and wild wolves, after all, can interbreed. And unlike with horses and donkeys, the results of these unlikely pairings are perfectly capable of having puppies of their own. In the wild, male wolves are generally more likely to engage in aggressive behavior, even towards members of their own pack, while female wolves are more likely to take it slow and only really get into fights if there's no other option. The way these pack instincts translate into our domestic dogs is that male dogs are much more likely to engage in guarding behaviors around their home and owner, but are also more likely to be independent and try traveling further afield, especially if they're not neutered. Female dogs, meanwhile, are more likely to prefer staying close to their individual special human, sticking to the group and not bothering to wander off as much. Number 7. Problem solving. How many dogs does it take to change a light bulb? Obviously, the answer is, it doesn't matter because no amount of backup will ever make up for their unfortunate lack of opposable thumbs or inability to use a stepladder. But if your dog ever did try to change a light bulb, then you might notice some interesting differences in their approach, depending on whether they're male or female. A male dog might take a few goes to figure out which way the bulb unscrews, possibly trying to brute force a few times if they guessed wrong the first time, before figuring out that they might need to turn it the other way. They tend to take more physical approaches to problems. They're also very persistent. If they can't find the bulbs in the drawer, they might end up emptying every other drawer and cupboard they can find until they've either managed to find one or fully proven to their own satisfaction that there aren't any in the house. Female dogs, on the other hand, are usually more observant and strategic. Your female dog might examine the bulb first to try and figure out how to unscrew it effectively. They're much less likely to persist after a few failed attempts, however. If the bulbs aren't in the first couple of drawers she tries, then she'll probably just buy some from the store instead. Did you know that dogs secretly save our lives each day? Check out this video to find out how your dog prolongs your lifespan.